Snow White. Once upon a time, in the middle of winter, when the flakes of snow were falling like feathers from the clouds, a queen sat at her palace window, which had an ebony black frame. While she was looking out at the snow, she pricked her finger, and 3 drops of blood fell upon the snow. Now the red of the blood looked so well upon the white that the queen thought to herself, "Oh, if only I had a child as white as this snow, as red as this blood, and as black as the wood of this frame." Soon afterwards, a little daughter did come to the queen, who was as white as snow, and with cheeks as red as blood, and with hair as black as ebony, and from this she was named Snow White. But shortly after Snow White was born, the queen passed away. A year later, the king married another wife, who was very beautiful, but so proud that she could not bear anyone to be better looking than herself. The new queen owned a magic mirror, and when she stepped before it and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" the mirror replied, "The queen is the fairest of the day." And then the queen was pleased, for she knew that the mirror spoke truthfully. However, little Snow White grew up and became prettier and prettier, and when she was 18 years old, she was more beautiful than the queen herself. When the queen now asked her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" the mirror replied, "The queen was the fairest yesterday. Snow White is the fairest now, they say." This answer so angered the queen that whenever she saw Snow White, her heart was hardened against her, and she hated the little girl. One day, the queen said to her huntsman, "I never want to look at Snow White again. You must take that child away into the forest and kill her." So the huntsman took Snow White away, but when he drew out his knife, she began to cry, saying, "Oh dear huntsman, please don't kill me. I will run into the wild forest and will never come home again." This speech softened the huntsman's heart, and he had pity on Snow White. So he said, "Well, run away then, poor child." So now poor little Snow White was left alone in a large forest, and did not know which way to go. She ran until her feet refused to go any further, and as it was getting dark, she saw a little house nearby, and she entered in to rest. In this cottage, everything was very small, but very neat and elegant. In the middle stood a little table with a white cloth over it, and 7 little plates upon it, each plate having a spoon and a knife and a fork, and there were also 7 little mugs. Against the wall were 7 little beds arranged in a row, each covered with white sheets. Young Snow White, being both hungry and thirsty, ate a little porridge out of each plate, and drank a drop or 2 of water out of each mug, for she did not wish to take away the whole share of any one. After that, because Snow White was so tired, she laid herself down on one bed and went to sleep. When it became quite dark, the owners of the cottage came home. They were 7 dwarfs, who dug for gold and silver in the mountains. They first lighted 7 little lamps, and saw at once that somebody had entered into their cottage, because everything was not in the order in which they had left it. The 7 dwarfs soon discovered Snow White lying in one of their beds. "Oh heavens! Oh heavens! Look at how beautiful she is!" one of them said. And they were so much delighted that they did not wake her up, but let her continue to sleep. As soon as morning arrived, Snow White woke up, and was quite frightened when she first saw the 7 dwarfs, but they turned out to be very friendly, and asked her for her name. "My name is Snow White. said Snow White. "Why have you come into our cottage?" the 7 dwarfs asked Snow White. Then Snow White told the 7 dwarfs how her stepmother would have had her killed, but the huntsman had spared her life, and how she had wandered about the whole day until at last she had found their cottage. When her story was finished, the dwarfs said, "Will you look after our household and keep everything in neat order? If so, we can keep you here, and you can stay for free." And Snow White answered, "Yes, with all my heart I will." So she remained with the 7 dwarfs and kept their house in order. Every morning, the dwarfs went into the mountains and searched for silver and gold, and in the evening they would come home and find their meals ready for them. During the day, Snow White was left alone, and therefore the dwarfs warned her and said, "Snow White, please be careful of your stepmother. She will soon know of your being here, so please don't let anyone enter the cottage." The queen, meanwhile, believing that she had gotten rid of Snow White, thought that she was now the most beautiful woman in the world. One day, she stepped before her magic mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And the mirror replied, "The queen was the fairest yesterday. Snow White is the fairest now, they say. The dwarfs protect her from your sway, inside the forest, far away." This reply surprised the queen, but she knew that the mirror never lied. She knew, therefore, that the huntsman had deceived her, and that Snow White was still alive. This fact made the queen tremble and foam with rage and jealousy, and she very much wanted to end Snow White's life. So the queen went into a secret chamber and made an apple out of the most deep and subtle poison. From the outside, the apple looked nice enough, and had rosy cheeks which would make a person's mouth water. But whoever ate even the smallest piece of the apple would surely die. As soon as the poison apple was ready, the queen dyed her hair and clothed herself like a peasant's wife, and then she went over the 7 mountains to the house of the 7 dwarfs. The queen knocked at the cottage door, and Snow White stretched out her head and said, "I'm so sorry, old lady, but I dare not let anyone enter. The 7 dwarfs have told me not to." "But I am just here to give you this beautiful apple. A beautiful girl like you deserves such a beautiful apple," said the old woman, who was really the queen in disguise. "No, I dare not take it," answered Snow White. "What are you afraid of?" cried the old woman. "There, see, I will cut the apple in half, and you can eat the red cheeks, and I will eat the core." What Snow White did not know was that the apple was so cunningly made that only the red cheeks were poisoned. Snow White very much wished for the beautiful apple, and when she saw the old woman eating the core, she could no longer resist, and reaching out her hand, she took the poisoned red cheeks. But as soon as Snow White placed a tiny piece of the apple inside her mouth, she fell down dead upon the ground. Then the queen, looking at Snow White's body with glittering eyes, laughed bitterly and exclaimed, "White as snow, red as blood, black as ebony. Too bad that now you are dead. Ha 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 ha." As soon as the queen got home, she asked her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And the mirror replied, "The queen is the fairest of the day." Upon hearing this, the queen's envious heart was finally at rest. When the 7 little dwarfs returned home that evening, they found Snow White lying on the ground, and there appeared to be no life in her body. They raised her up and tried to see if they could find anything poisonous. They washed her with water and with wine, but nothing availed. So the dwarfs thought that the poor child was really and truly dead. So the dwarfs wept and wept for 3 days without ceasing. Then they prepared to bury Snow White. But Snow White looked so fresh and lifelike, and even her red cheeks had not faded. So the dwarfs said to themselves, "We cannot just bury her in this dirty ground." So the dwarfs ordered a case to be made out of glass for Snow White. This way they could see her on all sides. And the dwarfs wrote her name with golden letters upon the glass, saying that she was the daughter of a king. Then they placed the glass case upon the ledge of a large rock. For a long time, Snow White lay peacefully in her case, and looked as if she was only asleep, because she was still white as snow, red as blood, and black-haired as ebony. Many years later, a prince was traveling in the forest, and came to the dwarf's house to pass the night. He soon saw the glass case upon the rock, and the beautiful princess lying inside. After looking at the case for several days, the prince finally said to the dwarfs, "Please let me have this case, for I cannot live without Snow White. I will honor and protect her for as long as I live." When the dwarfs saw that the prince was very much in earnest, they pitied him and at last agreed to give him the case. So the prince ordered the glass case to be carried away on the shoulders of his attendants. Now it happened that when the attendants were carrying the case, they stumbled over a rut, and with the shock, the piece of poison apple, which lay in Snow White's mouth, suddenly fell out. Very soon, Snow White opened her eyes, and raising the lid of the glass case, she rose up and asked, "Excuse me, where am I?" Full of joy, the prince answered, "Princess Snow White, you are safe with me." Then the prince told Snow White what had happened to her, and he asked her to accompany him home to the castle of the king, his father. Snow White agreed, and when they arrived there, they were married with great splendor. Snow White's stepmother was also invited to the wedding, and after she had put on her most beautiful dress and was about to leave for the wedding, she stepped in front of her magic mirror and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And the mirror replied, "The queen was the fairest yesterday. The prince's bride is now, they say." After hearing those words, the queen was in a fury and was so terribly mortified that she did not know what to do with herself. At first, she decided not to go to the wedding, but then she could not resist the desire to see the princess and to see how beautiful she really was. So in the end, the queen went to the wedding, but as soon as she saw the bride, she recognized Snow White and was so terrified with rage that she rushed out of the castle and was never heard of again. Now as for Snow White and the prince, after their beautiful wedding, the lovely couple lived happily ever after.